Hi, welcome back to our class. I don't think any of us expected that this would be a class that would be as hybrid as this is going to now be virtual. So I just wanted to check in first before we get started to see how things are going with everyone. I know that everyone is starting to adjust to this new distance learning concept. On that note, as I said in my email, I'm not going to be adding a lot of extra material to this class for you to read. I'm just going to make sure that we're covering the topics that are super important to this class, and I will do a lot of the teaching in this style where I will more lecture virtually to give you what you need. The university just updated us to let us know that they do want us to do a session or so live, so we will probably use Google Meet to have our live class so we can all be together for at least a short period of time. And my intention then will be to discuss some of the things that are going on in our districts, as well as our UDL topics that we're going to discuss and how all of that actually melds together pretty well. So in terms of our transition to distance learning, it's been interesting in our district where we have gone with the less is more concept. As I said in my email, we are definitely probably a different district than many of you work in. We did just distribute about 80 laptops in the last week, but otherwise most of our students had the technology they needed, and our district was pretty proactive in a lot of this work, so we didn't have to. A lot of students went home with what they needed before we actually closed. We did technology surveys a few weeks ago, those sorts of things. So in this process, though, I had a few special ed teachers that I really needed to help support. So I actually created a mini lesson for one of our students to help model what our district is expecting from special ed teachers. So our special ed teachers, we decided to start, should be sending home via Google Classroom a mini lesson based on a goal and objective each week. So depending on the student, sometimes it's more than one if they have self-contained classes. If it's just a resource room once a week, they would pick one objective and send home a lesson. So I'm going to attach, after this slide, the mini lesson that I created. It was my first try, so it is not perfect, but it's sort of an example of how we can simplify this process of providing specialized instruction in a format that is not overwhelming for ourselves as well as our students. A few things that relate very closely to this class that I did when creating our lesson was I thought about UDL. I thought about what my student needed. So the student happens to have autism. He is very excited about everything, wants to chat all the time, will be off topic, and anything will distract him. But he has really good skills. So I made sure there was a checklist before we started. I reminded him he should go get his materials that were on that checklist that I provided in the beginning of the slideshow. It was very limited materials for this lesson. I reminded him that he could pause the video. So, right, a lot of our students are not used to learning in this method, so we have to remind them and provide those executive functioning type skills for them. I modeled the problem for the student. I used my visuals to support the student. I used, handy ways to remember the vocabulary, because I wanted to make sure I was teaching vocabulary in my lesson, but I kept it short and sweet and to the point. I tried to really personalize it and give positive reinforcement, encouragement, even though I couldn't see the student. I was trying to give the same sorts of feedback that I would give if the student was in front of me without being able to gauge his reaction or his answers. So I will share that with you, but I think it fits really well into that UDL model, because the first thing we have to do when we talk about UDL is know who our learners are. So I'm going to close this video right now as sort of our intro, and I'm going to record another video in a little bit that refers to our process for UDL. At the end of this slideshow, I'm also going to record another short video and then attach the UDL project that you'll be doing, which is our substitute for the Action Research Project.